Um, Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the Encinitas Environmental Commission meeting of June. While I pull up an agenda, oh, there we go. Thank you. Can we do a roll call, please, Chamomile?
Yes. Commissioner Carol Parker.
Here.
Commissioner Katie Kramer.
Here.
Oh. Commissioner Mark O'Connor.
Here.
Commissioner William Morrison. I'll come back around. Commissioner Robert Switzler. Vice Chair Christian Adams.
Present.
Commission Chair Ari Novi.
Here.
Commissioner William Morrison. Commissioner Robert Switzler. They may be coming later. Let the record show we have 5 members of the Environmental Commission here tonight, remotely.
Thanks, Chamomile. We'll call the meeting to order, and now we'll go to the Pledge of Allegiance. The Zoom Pledge of Allegiance is always fun. Please join us if you wish. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States
of of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
There have been no changes to the posted agenda.
Thank you, Chamomile. Do we have any oral communications or directions to staff?
We may, and as a point of order, we have new public comment procedures. Before, you'd have to pull a speaker slip to speak, or you had to pre-register for Zoom. To speak now for oral communications, please select the raise hand feature. It's at the bottom middle part of your Zoom screen. If you're calling in from a phone and not using a Zoom app, you would press *9 to mute. And then when it's your turn to speak, you press *6 to unmute and start speaking. And you can raise your hand until public comment is closed or the final speaker has finished their comments. So right now we are on item 4, oral communications, which is an item that's not on the agenda. So if anyone would like to speak now on an item that is not posted on the agenda, on tonight's agenda, please raise your hand and we'll call on you to speak. And I do see Gerald Ann Kessler, and I believe she would like to speak for oral communications. Gerald Ann Kessler, would you like to speak now for oral communications? Oh, she disappeared. I believe we have no...
With the new public comment, they'll be joining as panelists.
Oh, okay.
So she's rejoining right now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kieran. And I see her.
All right. I'm sorry. I just got out of work, so I'm going to read something old, if that's okay, for 3 minutes.
No problem. Go ahead. You have 3 minutes to address the commission.
Okay, here we go. I would like to speak about the proposed environmental nightmare housing project on Melba Road that is slated to take down a grove of mature Torrey pines, 173 trees, and 30 smaller trees and native shrubs, along with demoing 3 beautiful historical homes built in 1938 or earlier on 6.6 acres for 31 homes, all based on the ill-fated density bonus law AB 2345. We received the notice of preparation from the city and the developer. This has only brought anxiety through the neighborhood. This anxiety is being felt amongst many longtime tax-paying senior residents who simply just want to age in place. Due to this environmental nightmare housing project hanging over the neighborhood's head, now they are not being allowed to do that. This is not how Encinitas should be treating the elders of the community. These seniors have raised their families and have contributed positive things to the quality of life in Encinitas. I want to again point out that they simply look out the window and cannot feel at peace because the trees will soon be removed. Brian Staver recently met with the neighbors who will be directly impacted by this environmental nightmare project to discuss the boundary trees, and this only upset them to the point of seeking medical care shortly after his visit. I would like to remind you how Scripps dealt with building in the community, multiple meetings with the public and planning commission, taking constructive criticism and making changes based on the community input. This should be the gold standard for building in the community. Nothing like this has taken place on the Melba project. With the three beautiful historical homes and the beautiful Encinitas redwood tree lines on Melba, the trees throughout the property, please support the community in designating it as a historical landscape, as it represents the rural look, the way Encinitas looked in the 30s. And this is not currently present at any location in Encinitas. Please support the community in historical preservation of this property with open space, soft green infrastructure funding, and community funding, or perhaps a bond on the ballot for open space. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler. That concludes oral communications. And let the record show that Commissioner William Morrison has joined us.
Thank you, Ms. Kessler, and thank you, Chamomile. We are now moving on to item 5, presentation from the General Manager of EDCO, Jim Ambrose. Jim, good to see you, and thanks for being with us today.
Good to see you too, Ari, and commissioners. It's always a honor to come and share with you what's going on with organics recycling, and particularly because of the high interest level that this commission has, and the participation that the City of Encinitas has had with us in this rollout of this program. So if you're ready, we'll begin. I'll give you just a brief update on where we are with this whole rollout and the program, as I mentioned. For those of you who haven't met me before, I think most of you have, but I am the general manager for EDCO, overseeing the company's operations in North San Diego County. And I have with me today Logan Betts, who's on this Zoom call as well. And Logan is one of our field reps who has been instrumental in bringing the program forward in the City of Encinitas. And so he, if you want to hear any war stories or any of the challenging situations he might have been in doing this, he's the guy to ask. And I may ask him to comment on a few things through this. So we'll be brief. I thought I'd start with just bringing you back to, again, why we are doing this. The state of California determined back several years ago that we put 27 million tons of organic waste into landfills. And it's made up of a lot of different components. A lot of people think organic waste is just food waste or green waste, but paper products are organic as well. And a lot of them are not recycled. They end up in the landfill along with wood. And so the mission is to get that out of there. The food is really an important component, however, because of the food insecurity that we still have. And this has grown significantly, the number of folks that are food insecure in California. Through the whole last several years with COVID, these numbers have increased. And so it's really important that we find a way to capture the edible food that used to go into landfills and get it into the hands of those who need it. On the next slide, we'll see why it's so important to get the organic material out of the landfills. As we've noted, it's the most significant contributor of methane to the atmosphere is coming from landfills, 21% of it statewide. And the greenhouse gas, methane is one of the most potent greenhouse gases, and it's having negative impacts on our community and our air quality and our respiratory issues. The next slide shows even more directly how California has been impacted through many of the climate impacts that we are monitoring now and seeing happen. We've watched the wildfires increase, the heat waves, water has become a significant issue throughout the state. And it isn't just that these environmental impacts are occurring, it's having a strong impact on jobs and our economic economy, particularly in the agricultural industry. So we all know why we have to do this. Getting it out of landfills seems to be an obvious move and simple task, but as we'll see, it comes with its challenges. State of California, the next slide shows that we move forward with a very aggressive, probably one of the most aggressive programs nationwide to get organics out of landfills. Set the goal to try to reduce the amount of organics going to landfills by 50% in 2020. We actually did a pretty good job hitting that target, if you recall, because we simply said, let's not put green waste in landfills anymore. And that was a big contributor because landfills were using green waste as daily cover and just burying it. And there was no need to do that. We could move it into composting and find other ways to manage it. It just needed a simple ban. And so California did that and made a big dent in the amount of organics going in there. But the other 25%, that 5.7 million tons, is where we're really going to have to roll up our sleeves and work hard. The regulation took effect January 1 of this year, and that now has put in place under this Senate Bill 1383, a very exhaustive, very prescriptive program that affects everybody in California. Everybody from the generators to the regulators to the cities, the counties, all the jurisdictions, everyone plays a role in getting this done. Within that goal of now reaching by 2025, 75% reduction in organics going to landfills, we also are going to move to 20% of what is edible into the hands of those who are food insecure. So we have lots of different things to accomplish here, and it's going to require an effort, concerted effort, with everyone doing their part. Next slide kind of shows where we are in this. There were some key implementation dates and goals set out here to, again, beginning January 1, 2022. Providing the organics collection services to residents and businesses. All residents, all businesses must participate in the program. Establish the edible food program, which I've mentioned already. Conducting education and outreach, procurement of renewable products that are organically driven, and then planning for capacity to manage all these organics that we are pulling out of the waste stream to manage differently. And out there in 2024 is a date coming where the jurisdictions will then have the authority from the state of California to enforce this program, and even to go so far as to issue fines if need be to those who are not participating and cooperating with the program. So how are we doing on this? The next slide kind of gives an idea where we are today. With respect to the rollout of the organics collection programs, you'll recall in Encinitas that last June, we implemented a full citywide residential program by handing out carts and caddies and bags to every resident in the city, along with a lot of information, literature, and educational materials to begin recycling your organics at home. And I hope you're all doing that. I hope it's become commonplace and normal and natural. And then right after that, we started the commercial organics rollout. We really started with what we call the slow roll program. Not that we are trying to be slow at all about this, but we believe, and we thank the city staff for supporting us in this, that it was really imperative that we educate the businesses on why we have to do this, how to do this, and how to do it most effectively in their business. If we just dropped a container like we did with residents at every business, we were fearful that they wouldn't use it properly. They wouldn't even understand how to use it. They'd put it in a corner and probably not get used like it should. At the same time, they were coming out of the COVID pandemic challenges and had staff issues, and a lot of them really just were not interested in taking on yet another challenge, another burden. And so we felt it was really important that we go door to door, business by business, talk to them, educate them, help them understand this, and help them figure out the best way to do it. We went into the kitchens, we talked to their staff, we gave them signs, we gave them containers in many instances, and we spent a lot of time there. I will tell you, we were grateful to have the help of the Solana Center. The city paid for and brought the Solana Center alongside us to help us. We kind of used them as a, I guess what's the right word for it? They went in ahead and paved the way for us. They went ahead and talked to businesses, explained the program and discussed how to identify organic waste and how to separate it. And then we came in and helped set up the programs. So we had a little tag team effort going on, and it worked really well. And I will tell you that as of today, we have deployed over 50% of the, well, actually implemented a program over 50% of the businesses in Encinitas. We have another 425 left out of a little over 900. So we have identified this month, June, to go ahead and complete the drop. What does that mean? We're literally going to take the rest of the businesses that don't have the program, and we are going to deliver containers to them. Most of these folks are folks that don't have a lot of organics material. They may be an auto shop, a doctor's office, some medical facilities, not the typical restaurants. We've gotten to most of the restaurants and those that generate a lot of material with the hands-on, face-to-face discussions. But these are folks, many of them that just don't have a lot of material. But we are going to give them a container. They have been given notice upon notice that this is coming. We've sending out a very detailed brochure next week as well with the cart that they will get that they can use at their business. It'll have a tag attached to it to explain the program as well, following up with some more literature afterwards, and actually site visits going into next year, later this year and into next year. So we're ready to finalize the rollout in Encinitas this month and begin that program with any business that doesn't have the service yet today. So that's what's happening on the collection side. On the edible food side, the city has been working with the Solana Center to identify businesses that do have food, edible food, and how to capture that, how to get it into the hands of those that have need. The state has defined these as tier 1 customers. They really include the larger grocery outlets, large generators of food, and then this will expand in the next couple of years into those that are your most of the other restaurants and grocery stores and food outlets. Education has been ongoing, very extensive, not only between EDCO, but the city, the Solana Center, and we're very fortunate to have the resources in Encinitas that many other communities don't have. But it's included a lot of outlets from direct mail to social media, presentations, and site visits. And then the procurement side is something we're working on with the city. The city staff is trying to figure out where in the city can they purchase products that are made from renewable organic materials. And then EDCO is also working with the city on our renewable gas. As we create renewable gas and burn it in our trucks, that is a direct benefit back to the community to meet this procurement goal. So it's a great closed loop idea and program. So we collect the organics, we turn it into renewable natural gas, we consume it in our trucks and put it to good use that way, and thus reduce our emissions as well. We're also bringing mulch and material back into the community for different programs too. And lastly, there's just this capacity planning effort that the city is in good shape with EDCO's facilities. We are providing all the capacity you need. So it's kind of one of those, we check the box because of the way we're doing this. So we go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about how we're doing with the digester. A lot of folks ask, is it working? How's it going? And the answer is yes, yes, yes. We're very proud of how well this program has worked. The facility started operating early last year. It took the better part of 6 months to get it conditioned. We only built 2 tanks, 2 out of the 4. We have capacity to build the additional 2 anytime. But the 2 tanks are serving us very well right now. We condition the bacteria, the bugs in there anaerobically to consume this material. We're putting about 400 tons a day in there now. That's a mixture of green waste and food waste and other organic materials. They all come in, we go through and pull out any contaminants. We shred it, goes into the digester. Digester, it's in there for residence time. We call it of about almost 2 weeks. And out comes well, first of all, we produce the methane gas and extract the gas. The gas is purified, compressed, and put into the pipeline for us to use across the street where we power the trucks. And then the digestate, which is the remaining solid material, goes right back into that building with the white roof. In there, we de-water it. We take the water and use it back in the digester tanks. And then the solid material we haul off to use in the agricultural community. and also to compost sites. Compost sites love it. It's got a lot of moisture, it's got a lot of nutrients, and mixing it with compost is working very well there too. So it's a really great closed loop system. It's working well, producing lots of gas. And as we produce more material, or collect more material, I should say, commercially, then we will be adding those additional tanks as the volumes increase. Go to the next slide. We'll talk a little bit about what we're doing in the residential side of things. We still are educating our residents. I will tell you it's working. We're starting to see more and more residents participate. I think it was just a matter of time for them to determine, is this just a one-time thing? I got a brochure. Are they really going to bug me about this? The answer is yes. We're going to educate and we're going to inform. The city has done a great job of getting out into the community as well. At a lot of workshops and some of the festivals, putting up a booth. We've had opportunity to be there with the city from time to time and to hand out more caddies, but to talk about the necessity of the program, but the benefits and how easy it is to do this. On the next slide, you can see we're also doing this in the commercial businesses now. And I will tell you, this is just going to take time. Take time to understand not only the need for it, but how to do it well and efficiently, and get it to become a normal behavior in our homes and our businesses, just like we did when we started recycling bottles and cans. Going back many years ago, it was the same reaction. Folks were like, oh, do I really have to do this? And it's going to smell, it's going to be this, it's going to be that. Beer cans are going to spill and we're going to have a nasty mess. Well, guess what? We've all figured out how to do that. And we're going to figure out how to do the organics as well. On the next slide, we talk a little bit about our outreach and just how we continue to do this. As I mentioned already, we will not stop. I know the city won't stop. We'll all be doing continual education, outreach to inform folks through the various venues so that we can, make this something normal and customary in our homes, which hopefully all of us are doing. I have a video to show now, and before you click there, because it may start, I just wanted, we've put together a lot of videos that are available on our website, just educating and showing folks in different venues how to do this. And it's fairly simple. They're short, they're 3 minutes. And this one will give you an idea of just the quality of the kind of stuff we're doing for our commercial businesses.
Family-owned and operated Edco is excited to announce that commercial food waste recycling is here. Edco's new organics recycling program will collect food scraps and landscape waste all mixed together in a green organics container. This new program will assist communities to be in full compliance with evolving state mandates, including SB 1383, which is directly related to organics recycling and edible food recovery in the state of California. I'm sure you're thinking, what does this mean for my business? And what do I need to do to comply? To start, commercial generators should pursue food rescue options for edible food recovery. The San Diego Food System Alliance is leading an initiative across San Diego County to reduce food waste and increase food donation to people. By visiting their website, customers can find information on food recovery throughout the county, food donation guides, and other valuable resources. In addition to food donation, commercial generators that have post-consumer food waste will also need to establish an organics recycling program at their business. But what is post-consumer food waste? Post-consumer food waste is food waste that is discarded after the food has been sold or served. This waste is sometimes referred to as plate waste or food scraps and is typically tossed into the trash container. Recycling this waste is the next step to achieving California's zero waste goals. Now I'm sure you're wondering how you will get your food scraps from inside your business to the green containers. There are so many options available, and every business is different. Businesses can collect food scraps in any container for an easy way to set aside leftovers before bringing them to the green containers. Different food scrap collection strategies will be used based on the type of business, available space, and layout of the facility. In restaurants, collecting food scraps from prep stations using designated and frequently emptied containers, like 5-gallon buckets, helps to reduce contamination and prevents pests and odors. In self-service restaurants, employee break rooms, and cafeterias, offering separate receptacles for organic waste, recyclables such as cans and bottles, and trash such as plastic straws or wrappers helps empower consumers and employees to become part of the solution to wasted food. For smaller businesses, Coffee cans, plastic food storage containers, and paper bags can all be used for an easy way to collect food scraps. While these ideas work for many businesses, many others are concerned about this causing a mess. How is my business possibly going to avoid the yuck that's associated with food waste recycling? That's a great question, and we have a solution. Wrapping food scraps in any type of non-wax paper, such as paper towels, newspaper, or paper bags, is an easy way to move food waste from inside your business to the green containers and helps keep those icky pests and odors away. Wrap the scraps. Another helpful tip to reduce odors in your break room or cafeteria: try freezing food like meat, poultry, and fish in a reusable container until it's time to place food scraps in the green containers. As you can see, there are many different ways to cleanly move food scraps from your business to the green collection containers, and everyone seems to have a different way that works for them, all while getting their food waste into the green containers. It is important to remember that all organic waste must be placed loosely inside the green containers or wrapped in any type of non-wax paper for collection. Please do not use any kind of plastic bags, even the biodegradable ones, as they contaminate the recycling process. EDCO is committed to assisting your business in implementing an organics recycling program. EDCO will provide free on-site visits to help you comply with the state's mandatory recycling requirements, which will also include a review of your current trash and recycling services and help determine the best organics program for you. To schedule a free on-site visit, please visit our website at edcodisposal.com, enter your zip code, and visit the Contact EDCO tab. By participating in EDCO's new organics recycling program, the materials your business places in the green containers will be recycled into renewable natural gas to create a carbon-neutral EDCO collection fleet. Since 1967, family-owned and operated EDCO has had a long-standing commitment to innovation and reducing impacts on the environment. EDCO's state-of-the-art anaerobic digestion facility will begin serving customers in early 2021, assisting communities to be in full compliance with new state mandates and keeping us on the road to zero waste. For additional information about the new organics recycling program or EDCO's anaerobic digestion facility, please visit our website at edcodisposal.com. At EDCO, we'll take care of it.
All right. Very good. Thank you for teeing that up on your end there. I really grateful because I would have screwed that all up, I'm sure. Anyway, that's it. I wanted to just open it up for questions and also mention that again, Logan is on here as well if you have specific questions about how the rollout has gone in the community.
I'll just say that my own personal experiences, my trash is down to a small, like a kitchen size amount of landfill material. Recycling is probably the same. And then my yard waste, which you're digesting, is doubled or tripled. So yeah, it's working for this family here. So job well done.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad to hear that because my wife and I've had the very same experience. We barely generate a bag of trash a week now, but I'm taking a lot of organics out and recycling. It's really great to see how we migrate from the trash into the recycling side of things.
And I do the shrimp shells in a bag or in a paper bag in the freezer till the night of, so avoiding any smells.
Well done.
I had a question for, sorry,
Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. For Jim or possibly Crystal. Jim, thanks for the great presentation and really exciting to see all the efforts. And it was neat to hear about post-consumer recycling efforts too. And I was wondering if there are any plans to have green bin collection receptacles on public property like parks and beaches?
It's a good question. The answer is yes, because we really do need to provide that in those public settings. We have a few of them that are kind of out there in the public now that are unfortunately all being used as trash cans. You know, just like the folks see another container, think, oh, we can throw trash in there. It will require more education, probably some really good signage and identification that it is for organics, not for trash. But I think it's going to be a little while yet before the public understands the difference. And I can't wait to get to that threshold where they really are, it's sinking in and they're beginning to see it. Because today, I'll give you an example. If we put a recycling can out, a blue one, next to a trash can, folks are starting to get better at that. They're still not great. They still throw trash in there. but a vast majority of folks kind of see that and understand that. The blue is for recycling. The other one is for trash. And we're not there with green yet, but we'll get there.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say thank you so much to EDCO for building the anaerobic digester. It's just a great solution for this, for the North County area. And, you know, you've made complying with 1383 so much easier with that. So it really is nice to see a business doing this.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy to do it. I will offer this as well. Happy to do a tour for your group. If you want to come out sometime and take a look, you're welcome to do that.
And I wanted to say, I was just down in Mexico. I was just down in Puerto Vallarta, and every public place that had trash cans had 3 signs with organics and recycling and landfill. And it was, you know, somewhat, it was a lot of verbiage on the signs, but, you know, we might not be the only ones. We are not the only ones, so.
No. Yeah, and I think as I talk about education, it's really imperative we get into the schools and help the kids learn this early on, because they're the ones that are gonna make it happen. At home, publicly, that's just going to be normal and acceptable for them. Yeah, that's what we do. And so they'll want this in the public setting. And I think adults, of course, we can do this too. But clearly, we got to educate all levels of folks, because it needs to become natural and normal in our lifestyle. Any other questions, comments?
Jim, thank you so much. I can't say anything anyone else didn't say other than that, you know, to reiterate how grateful we are. I can also attest to the fact that I have very, very little waste, and I'm very proud of it since the organic recycling has begun. And it's just a wonderful program, you know, that we're fortunate to be an early adopting city and to have you as a partner. So thanks for coming to us every year. It's such a really exciting presentation from you guys. I really want to get out and see the facility at some point, so maybe we'll put it together.
All right. Well, we're honored to be here. Thank you for this time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you for spending the time with us.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we are now on minutes approval. We have 2 sets of minutes to approve. I'm going to abstain from the first one as I missed the last month's meeting. So can I get somebody to make a motion to approve the minutes from the May 12th meeting?
I'll make that motion to approve the May 12th minutes.
Thanks, Mark. Anybody want a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. And then I was at the joint meeting on March 31st, so I'm happy to make a motion to approve those minutes. Anybody want a second?
Awesome.
Thanks, Katie. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. It always feels good to have approved minutes. It's kind of like taking a bureaucratic shower. Now moving on to number 7, informational items, and Crystal will lead us in a conversation about presentation schedules.
Thank you. Let me pull it up. Okay, so I'm pulling up the latest schedule. So tonight we just had EDCO speak. Thank you, Jim and team. And then we have nothing slated for July 14th. But in August, I actually had a member of Wild Coast reach out to me and request to give you all a presentation. So if you're amenable, that could be scheduled for August 11th. And that's would be a presentation on the Swami's Marine Protected Area and their M2 radar, giving you updates on that. That is pretty much it there. There's some other suggested topics and some items that could be rescheduled if you're so inclined. And that pretty much wraps it up.
Can I ask if you've reached out to Chris Kallstrand for rescheduling?
No, I haven't. If you would like to reach out to him and do that, then we could definitely schedule that one too.
Oh, I thought, okay, I'm sorry. I
Okay,
thought
that's okay.
it was your thing. Okay, I will ask him.
Personally, I'd be excited to hear from Wild Coast if they're available on August 11th. So I think that's exciting. We keep talking about getting, Vice Chair Adams to talk to us about the, what's going on in the solar industry. So if we've had an opening in July, what do you say?
Yeah, I can do it.
All right, you get 15 minutes and not a second more.
Pressure.
No, I think that'd be great. Is everybody else okay with that?
Yeah, I agree. Wild Coast heating and solar.
Definitely a yes to both.
Awesome. I know I'm curious about, how all of these supply chain and construction cost increases are impacting, especially the residential side of the solar install industry and a lot of other things. But
yeah, I think I'd ask just Ari if folks could just email me what they're interested. There's such like all your industries, right? There's so many different things to talk about or you could go down. So if I could kind of gauge what people are interested in hearing about and what perspectives, I'm happy to put something together on that.
You got it. Thanks, man.
Yeah.
And then I'll also second Carol's request for Chris. Chris is always gives a great. I agree. It's good to hear from Chris once a year too, just like we do from EDCO. Okay. Anybody have anything else they'd like to add, or anybody they'd like to reach out to, or suggestions? Okay, great. Thanks, Crystal.
Welcome.
Now we're moving on here to Environmental Award Programs winners. Oh, exciting. Commissioners Parker and O'Connor, thank you.
Did I miss something? Was I going to say something?
I guess Ari's handing it off to us on, and I think Mark, you've done a lot of the legwork. So if you want to present
I know we have one of the recipients with us tonight.
Yeah.
I don't have any of the written authorization or reasons why, but I know this organization very well. So it's the CEO of Community Resource Center, John Van Cleef, is with us. And the Community Resource Center won the not-for-profit, a nonprofit environmental award this year for pretty appropriate after Jim's discussion on organics. That's their food and nutrition program of taking in the recovered edible food and then helping those in need. I know probably over 400 families involved with getting a little hand up with that fresh food and canned goods and meats and all sorts of things. It's a wonderful program. They do an excellent job at being the safety net under this community. It was definitely deserved a nomination and the vote of the judges that selected them as the winner. So my congratulations to John and the organization.
Thank you.
DRC.
Thank you.
And then, you're welcome. I don't know, do we let John have a little speak here, or?
Oh, John, is that the award behind you?
Yes.
Show us.
It's really one of the coolest awards I've seen, and then from glass, not acrylic. So there we go. And I really want to publicly acknowledge the leadership of our food and nutrition program manager, Yanira Alonso, in really spearheading this. We've been a part of helping keep food out of the landfills through fresh rescue programs that have been spearheaded by both Feeding San Diego Food Bank, the San Diego Food Alliance, and making sure that food that's sell-by date, it doesn't go to the landfill before it can be offered to somebody who is experiencing food insecurity. And so through our food pantry, we are distributing to about 50 families a day. and helping make sure that our neighbors have healthy food. And then with the advent of this program, the bill, Unira's proactive outreach to EDCO, we placed one of the food recovery bins on our property about a year ago, and not just for the food nutrition program, but throughout our facilities, our staff and volunteers for their own food waste, we're depositing into those bins. But then if we have food that expires and we can't get it out to clients in need and it's gone bad, it goes in the food waste bin. And we feel really good. We work to be very environmentally conscious in our footprint as an organization. And we feel very good about really completing the cycle, as was beautifully narrated by EDCO, making sure that food goes back into the land to become soil to grow new food. So really helping close the loop on what food recovery can be. And so proud to be a part of a community that is embracing this service. And again, to the leadership of our program manager, Unira Alonso, and her foresight in seeing what this could be.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll switch to the next. I do have some knowledge on this one too. It's the Nada Shop, and that was the for-profit business for environmental award. Samantha Simone is the owner of that business. It's located very near the CRC on the 101, probably about the 700 block, and I think they're 600 block at 2nd Street, CRC is. And we're using too much plastic in our everyday lives and the things that we shop for and buy, and plastic is, they've now broken into our blood barrier. So we eat about a credit card worth a week of plastic. So the Nada Shop is a business that's trying to get everyone to switch and use less plastic. She has refillable containers of aluminum and glass and cardboard and products made out of bamboo. You can refill, you bring the container back over and over again, so it's not going into landfill, and you pay by the ounce. Let's say it's a dish washing soap. You buy the glass container full and then you use it up, you bring it back, just pay by the ounce. So it's really greatly reducing the amount of plastic and waste that we as individuals are creating. So she's part of the solution to the problem, and again, well-deserved recognition for making a difference in this community as a business model to help us all use less plastic. And then the last is the Environmental Hero Award for an adult, and that is our former environmental commissioner and current mobility and transportation commissioner, James Wong, and his reputation precedes him. It's just amazing the things that he's done while he was on this commission, the number of ordinances that were at his fingertips that he helped create. I know electrification was one of the huge ones that this city passed. Things like biking and the things that we're doing with biking and greenhouse gases, and just the list is endless, and he's still involved in all those arenas, even though he doesn't have this floor to use. He's using his other commissioner chair to get a lot of things done. So again, a very well-deserved recognition for a member of our community that is doing an outstanding job on behalf of the environment and for all of our sakes. So to James Wong, congratulations. And I think that's it. We did not have a youth hero this year, so those are 3 recipients this year. I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, Mark. And just want to say one thing quick. And John, thank you for being here. And kind of sometimes these environmental commissions can be pretty meetings can be pretty dire with the reports that we get. So when we hear things of the positivity of, yours is 2-pronged, right? Giving food where it's needed and taking it from the waste as well. So that, what you're doing is one of those things that kind of is really positive. And I think I'm not the only one on here that said, warms our hearts and why we're volunteering our time to try to get more of what you do. So really appreciate you. And I forget the woman's name that you just said, but Jan
Yanira.
Yanira. So
Yeah.
really appreciate all the support you guys are doing, and any way we can support you. And then just one other shout out to Mark for doing some heavy lifting with Commissioner Bisconer, out and taking a lot of the legwork and filling in. Really appreciate it. Mark did a great job, and some great photos we have of you delivering those awards and getting them all designed.
And I will say an email should be going out to the 3 recipients about the city council recognition on June 22nd. And again, it'll be a Zoom event like this, but there should be a spot in the program to make the same recognitions again by the city council and the mayor.
Well, thank you so much, Commissioners O'Connor and Adams. Sorry, I think I said it wrong before. We really appreciate you putting time into helping choose these really worthy people. Thanks, John. The city of Encinitas is so fortunate to have the CRC, and I believe the CRC is very fortunate to have John. But I know there's a great team over there. So thanks for spending time with us today.
And Carol Parker's part of that.
And Carol. Okay, sorry.
Carol helped out as well. Yeah. Not to shout out. Mark did a lot of the heavy lifting, but Carol definitely helped out as well.
Okay, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, John. And thanks to the folks who aren't here. And yeah, great. Okay, we're going to move on to our next item here, which again, we're going to call on Crystal to walk us through the Environmental Commission work plan.
Thanks, Commissioner Novi. Okay, so the work plan is up in front of you. I'll make it a little bit larger so you can see it. And I'll run through some of the updates that were included here for the agenda. And then of course, if you have any updates, any commissioners have any updates, please feel free to let us know those right now, and we can go ahead and add them as part of your approval of this item. So we added that under community outreach that the 7th annual Zero Waste Fair is going to be held on Saturday, June 25th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. at, it looks like is that the Farm Lab, 441 Quail Gardens Drive. I believe that's the Farm Lab.
Yes, it is.
Location. Thanks, Chamomile. And then under item 7, the awards program, I just noted that the awardees were selected and that they were announced tonight at your meeting, June 9th. And then under the CAP implementation, there has been a slight delay in the green building ordinance effective date. The CEC had to pull back their planned approval due to a clerical error in the documents, and so they are planning to re-agendize that for June 24th. And then under item 10, vegetation management, we did revise this whole section. There was a number of things that happened. Of course, the ad hoc joint committee was established on August 11th by the council and 3 commissions, including the Environmental Commission, and that is for that native plant discussion that you just approved the minutes of tonight. The first meeting was held on March 31st, and then the second meeting was held on May 31st. And a third meeting is planned and will be scheduled for a future date.
Thanks, Crystal. I do have one potential addition, and that would be for number 5, integrated pest management. There was discussion at the second of the ad hoc native plant meetings between our commission and the UFAC to make sure that the IPM policies of the city are included in any new ordinances or policies, or at least referred to that are on city land.
Okay, so we can add that.
Way of saying that, but just acknowledging that the IPM is being discussed in an integrated fashion with the ad hoc committee.
Got it. Okay, we'll summarize that and include it in the work plan.
Thank you. Anybody else have any edits, changes?
I do on item 16. I'm starting to educate myself on nuclear spent fuel and the San Onofre situation. And so I asked Commissioner Parker if she would mind me moving over into her spot, and she's agreed to let me join that subcommittee for future discussions on that particular issue of San Onofre. So I guess I'm just asking to have that recognized as a future change on the paperwork.
Yeah, I'll just chime in and say that can definitely be done. I'll just as you make your vote tonight, just make the vote with these changes that we've discussed, and then staff will go ahead and make them.
Thank you.
If you're all amenable to it.
Anybody else have any edits or changes?
I have no changes. I just need clarification on that zero waste event. Are the commissioners requested to be present at that event, or I was just wondering if.
No, it's not required. You're certainly welcome to attend, and if you'd like to formally attend, you could, but it's definitely not required.
I haven't really seen any information about that, and I just thought, maybe some more Facebook, Nextdoor kind of communications would be useful.
Yeah, I could reach out to our staff person here that's managing that and see if they can get some more outreach out there. I've seen it in.
Most people don't agree to anything, with less than 2 weeks for sure, and even 1 week or even 2 days. But so I think you could do a lot more communications and get more people there.
I have seen it go out in our newsletter. I don't know if you received the city newsletter as an e-newsletter. It's been in there, but I'll share your comment with our staff person that does that outreach and make sure that there's more disseminated.
And Crystal, I can chime in a little bit. I Love a Clean San Diego has been promoting this event on Facebook and social media quite a bit, and the city has, but it's on the work plan just for the commission to know about it. They're welcome to attend, of course, but also to promote it and to tell everyone about it so that they can come to it. I can tell you, it's to learn about low waste living, composting, recycling. There'll be sustainable swaps for everyday products. And then they'll have hands-on informational booths and do-it-yourself demonstrations. So it should be really fun. The stormwater booth's been at many of these, and it's a great event. So it's there for their information, and their participation, but also to engage the community and tell all their friends and family about it. But I can certainly forward on some information to you, Crystal, and we could share it with the whole commission too. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I know you all have some great connections as well.
Okay, any other potential edits or changes?
We could note on goal number 1 that Commissioner Carol Parker served on the community grant panel on behalf of the Environmental Commission.
Oh, that's a good idea. All right.
Yes.
Let's see if I can get a motion correct here. Before I do, anybody have any other edits or changes? Okay, so let's try it. So I'll move for approval of the Environmental Commission working plan with the following edits. Goal 1, mention of Commissioner Parker on the, say that again, Camille.
She represented the Environmental Commission on the community grant.
On the community grant program. Thank you. Number 5, mention of integration of IPM with the efforts of the ad hoc committee on native plants. And on number 16, replacement of Commissioner Parker with Commissioner O'Connor. Did I get it right, everybody?
Yes.
Okay, that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Awesome. Okay. I have two versions of the agenda. Is there something else in action items?
There is something else in the action items. The item B is the annual selection of chair and vice chair for the one-year term. So it's technically my item, but really the responsibility is the commission to discuss and deliberate and then select a chair and vice chair for next year.
Thanks, Crystal. So I'm always happy being chair, but I don't need to be chair. So if anybody wants to do it, and I have a feeling Commissioner Adams feels the same way. If anybody's interested in taking a turn as chair or vice chair, please feel free, and we will be happy to rotate.
I concur.
I think you're doing a wonderful job and happy to have you continue for another year.
I agree.
I agree. So can I make a motion that we have Commissioner Novi be the chairman of, and so we keep, and also for vice chair. No, I mean, I'm sorry.
Can't do both.
You can't do both. Okay. And then Christian to be the vice chair.
Sure. I'm happy to second that motion. Thank you all. I think we're both honored to do it, but also it's not that hard, and you guys make life really easy. So thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you. Do we have any commissioner initiated agenda items?
So I was well, this doesn't go here. Camille had asked if I could talk a little bit about the the community grant program. I forget when I was supposed to talk about that.
You can do it under the next item, the updates.
Okay.
Number 10. Yeah, we're almost there. Do we have any commissioner initiated agenda items?
I'm sorry. This is also not the right place. I realize. For me to ask Chris Colstrand to come talk, do we wait for after July and August, since we already have people scheduled at that time, or should we ask them any of these months?
That's a good question. I mean, we have had two speakers. If we think both speakers will keep it under 20 minutes and we don't have a very aggressive agenda for the rest of it, Chris is definitely, I think, one of the people who will stick to whatever time frame you give him. If you want him for an hour or 45 minutes in Q&A, I would suggest we invite him when no one else is speaking. But if you just want 20 minutes from Chris, I think it would be okay, to have two in one of those months.
Okay, so I'll say September and then go backwards from there.
Sounds good. Thank you. Okay, any commissioner initiated agenda items? We don't usually have them. Nope. Okay, so now time for updates. Number 10. Go ahead, Carol.
Okay, so I participated in the grant program. There were 54 grants, 54 applications. And to tell you the truth, I don't remember the number that we said that we would advise to provide grants to. It was about 2/3 that we wanted to give grants to, because we had the grant award was up to $5,000, and the minimum that we wanted to give was $2,500. So there was not a big range of in the scoring. It was tough. It was sort of like giving, who's on the B+, A- cutoff, and there was a lot of discussion about that amongst the different people who were giving the scores. So, but what I've been told is that City Council will choose some additional awardees, and also they will hear from people who have gotten their awards to see, I guess in the past, people who have gotten grants have advocated for more or the full $5,000, and so everything is up in the air until the City Council makes that determination. I believe it's June 15th. And that's about it. Any questions?
Thanks, Carol. I know it's a lot of work to do this. Anybody else have any updates or items of interest? Okay. Anybody have any future commissioner initiated agenda items?
I do. So what I've got is I mentioned a couple of points at this point of the meeting for a couple of months. We had the good Dr. Novotny give us a cigarette butt pollution in the marine environment. There was a bill in the state level, AB 1690, of which there was some direction to create a resolution in support of that, which had been started, and then midway through the process in committee, the bill dropped everything to do with cigarette butt consumption and pollution and only maintained vaping. And so the resolution was changed midstream and just about completed when the bill was pulled completely from being looked at by the state for making changes to butts and vaping. So what's happening is with that falling out, there's a lot of action in the health industry and in the nonprofit environmental NPOs on methods and means to combat that cigarette butt marine pollution. So I've already shared some information with the subcommittee members, with Katie and Robert, and we're just beginning some dialogue there for options that cities and municipalities can do during these times when the state hasn't been able to do anything. And I've also asked Crystal to send each of you just a couple information packets on the topic, not to be discussed in this forum here, but I hope that by the next month that everybody's had a chance to just peruse that information. And then I would like direction at this point as to how to move this up to an agenda item for the next month for an open discussion on those remedies that cities can do to get a vote from this commission on how to proceed in whatever fashion that we all deem is appropriate at that time.
Thanks, Mark. So I guess the question might be, and I'm sure Crystal and Kendall can advise us as well, is would you like an agenda item for a future meeting that's informational, where we get to talk and kind of discuss potential next items for vote, or do you think you'll have something that you want to bring in front of the group, that would require a vote, in which case it would need to be under an action item?
Well, I think I'd like to have a discussion with all of you to see where your feelings are on this issue in an open discussion. I know I'm getting feedback from the subcommittee on moving forward, but I think I'd like to discuss it with you, and then if we're all in concurrence, then have it as an actual item to be voted
at a future meeting, right?
As what I think we should do as a commission, and it's either a yay or nay from all of us. Without, do we have discussion before that type of a?
Well, we can't vote to take any action unless something's an action item. There are some things we can do, let's see. Yeah, I mean, even to create, even like to accept recommendations of a subcommittee, I think is an action item, and Crystal can maybe advise. So again, if it's just discussion, and kind of an informal, like, yes, we're interested in moving forward maybe in this or that direction, but without any formal voting, that would be an informational item. But if you want to ask us to formally vote, it would be an action item. The challenge there is that the action has to be fully presented in advance of the meeting and be available for public consumption and comment. So you'd have to have some sort of a report. It would be a commissioner report with a recommendation, whether that was, whatever the action is going to be that you'd be interested in. If you feel that you need more feedback from us before getting to that action item, then an informational item is what would make the most sense. And the limitation is just we couldn't vote on anything at that meeting. We'd have to wait until the subsequent meeting where an action item could then be presented.
I think the repercussions of the boldness of some of these measures that are being recommended by the professionals in this industry warrant all of our discussion to get a group consensus before I do a actual report with the recommendations that we would vote on and try to decide if we're going to move them forward. Crystal, that makes?
Yeah, and I would add, I could recommend that you could also place it under item 9, commissioner initiated agenda items. So if you had perhaps maybe a report or a summary of what your proposal was, not necessarily a well-vetted plan that's ready for an action item, but you could put it under item 9 and provide some material as part of the agenda packet for the commission to review in advance so that they had some information to kind of chew on. And then through item 9, you could have a discussion of what you're of the issue and what you're recommending. And then from there, if it was, seemed amenable from the commissioner, you could move it into an action item at a future agenda.
That makes sense to me. So I'll get with you to find out what I need to do to make a number 9 commission initiated agenda item for next month.
Yeah, I think it can be done now. What I can't remember, and that's a great suggestion, Crystal, is does he need another one of us to, agree to it, or he can just direct now, Commissioner O'Connor can direct now to have that as a commissioner initiated agenda item for next month?
That's a really good question. I think I might need to check with Eric on that one, since this is still new to me, unless chamomile happens to know. Otherwise, I can get you an answer before the next agenda.
Are you saying we could possibly fall back to number 9 tonight and have a?
I don't think we could go to 9 tonight.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not on the agenda. So you.
No, but I mean, we can direct in this meeting to put it on the agenda next month. If we don't have, if it's easier, Commissioner O'Connor doesn't have to wait until you put out a call for the agenda and then say I want this. We can essentially say we're going to put this on the agenda next month within this meeting. I think if we want.
Yeah, I think that's the process. Yeah.
I don't think we need a second person to sort of because again it could happen by one commissioner anyway. So Mark, if you want to, and again, I'm happy to agree with you because I think it's an important issue. If we want to just commit right now to having this as a commissioner initiated agenda item next month, we can just say that now and it's done.
Let's do that.
Okay.
I'm happy to help put together some summary materials too, Mark.
Thank you.
Sure.
All right, so everybody will look for those materials and we'll all commit to consuming them so that we can really have a informed discussion. And I'm really pleased that Mark, you and Katie are taking leadership on this and bringing this up because it's definitely a good one. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, anybody else have any potential future commissioner initiated agenda items?
I have an issue and I also need guidance here, but just hearing from Ms. Kessler every meeting, I thank her for her consistency and her messaging and her concern about the effects of development on removing these heritage trees. Just wondering now that I've been participating in that ad hoc joint committee with the urban forestry committee and the planning committee on native plant policy and learning about heritage trees, just trying to think through, and this would also fall under our work plan, the planning to environment nexus, kind of just ways to ensure the preservation of heritage trees with development, future development. And I'm not quite sure what actions should be taken there, but it was just sort of wanted to bring it up.
I did chime up and get myself in trouble in the process, which is that I do not believe, I mean, I really respect Geraldine, but the trees she's describing would not meet really any standard for heritage tree. So I mean, it's that project is going through or has gone through the planning commission and all the other stuff it needs to go through. It doesn't really touch this committee. If somebody were interested in in proposing an ordinance that would change things, that's a whole other story. But people are going to fight that development, and it'll do it. But that project will do what it's going to do.
Yeah, I can add some stuff from the UFAC committee. The UFAC has, and the city's ordinances don't have any relation to private property. So if the trees are on private property, we don't have we have no legal right to be able to tell people to not cut down trees. Except, there are people who have been on the UFAC and continue to be on the UFAC that don't like it when people are cutting down all these big trees. And, so we have tried to look at other cities, so like, for instance, Thousand Oaks has an ordinance where you can't cut down oaks. And, Santa Barbara, I think, also has some ordinance, or maybe it's Montecito. And it's very difficult. But it's something that, the UFAC continues to look at.
Would that be something to bring up in this joint committee? I mean, this isn't necessarily applying to native.
Sorry to interrupt you, Commissioner Kramer. Do you mind turning off your camera just because your audio keeps cutting out, and I think it might be a bandwidth issue? Yeah.
Oh yeah, sure. Okay. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, just wondering, I don't want to take up too much right now, but if this is something that might be addressed as joint native plant policy committee, I can bring it up there as well.
Susan brought that up at the meeting, that there should be some component of the, whatever the resulting ordinance may be coming out of that joint, ad hoc committee, that would, create either prerequisites or credits or something, vegetation on site, native plant vegetation on site having to be preserved or having some consideration. So I think that that's being tracked by that committee, and could have an impact. It's a really interesting question, right? We were debating the definition of native plant. These are Torrey pines on the property that is being discussed, and Torrey pines, are not native to Encinitas. But if they don't grow naturally in Encinitas, even though they grow naturally in Del Mar and La Jolla. But one of the recommendations to the joint committee was that any plant native to San Diego be considered a native plant, San Diego County. So those definitions will probably come into play as potentially important in these conversations.
This might be more of an incentives thing than an ordinance thing, but okay, maybe just we can table this and I can address this follow-up meeting for the commission.
This is I can see both sides of this issue because my sister had a big giant Torrey pine fall down in her yard, and that caused a lot of damage. And then I had another friend that took a Torrey down. If they didn't know if it was gonna fall down, but they took it down, and so there was a lot of problems for both ways and both episodes with different reasons.
I'm happy to have a very robust conversation, not in this forum, with anybody who wants to understand caring for large Torrey pines. We have lots of them at the Botanic Garden, and if you go to Torrey Pine State Reserve, you will not see large Torrey pines because when they are rain-fed, they do not achieve the same size that you see in people's yards and as street trees, and they really behave very differently than a native tree would, and that's that has implications for safety and a whole bunch of other things. So I'm happy to have that conversation offline. I know Mark Wisniewski would be thrilled to have that conversation with anybody who wants to have it. And there's other people as well. So anyway, but yeah, I think a formal conversation about it makes the most sense within that joint committee.
Sounds good.
And I'd like to say one more thing. I think that I think this would be another time where to have some sort of forum or education for the public about how trees are cared for in the city and how we are identifying trees that could possibly come down. And so I think, and how you can get trees put into your yard. I think that's all things that the city should encourage more education.
Well said. Anybody else? On trees or anything? Okay. All right. Thank you all. And I think we can adjourn.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Next time.